Welcome everyone to another episode of the Shade and Shit Talking Podcast. I'm your host TK, and as always, I thank you guys for tuning in. Now, this is the start of Black History Month, and for this month's episode, I will be focusing on different aspects of Black history, different people, different unknown people, in an effort to further educate those who may not know about our history or aren't as familiar with different facets of our history. So that's why the title of this episode, I talked about the 4 R's, and what that is what I think we as a group of people need to do with Black history. So the 4 R's that I'm talking about is reflection, rejoicing, recommit, and when I say recommit, I say recommitting a piece of ourselves to go out into the world and show these folks who we really are, what we really are, a strong and mighty people. And the last R is re-educate. And I say re-educate because, well, first of all, I should say educate, because we all know that they don't teach our history in the mainstream schools, in public schools, private schools. Like, in all of my years, I never learned Black history in school, real Black history, not the whitewashed version, not the watered down, everything is good, it was all a misunderstanding version, not that shit. I'm talking about the real. So that's what we here at Black with No Chaser will be doing. That's what I will be doing on this podcast. That's what we will be doing on the website and on the Facebook page, Instagram page, and Twitter. We will be recommitting ourselves to acknowledging who we are, what we are, and giving this info to the masses with the hope that you all would do the same, reach one, teach one, so on and so forth, the idea of Sankofa. So the way I see it, I think Black History Month for me means a lot of things. It means it's a look into where I came from and also what I strive to be. I mean, we are not the same people that we were 60 years ago. We are not the same strong, unified, committed to one another people that we were back in the 50s, back in the 60s, and so on. And honestly, we have to get back to that. We have to refocus and get back to that. So I talked about the 4 R's, and the first one was reflection, and this is what this first episode will be. And I guess I should say that I need to start off by giving you the beginning. And I'm not talking about the beginning of our first history when we were, viciously kidnapped and brought over here to Virginia, 1619. No, I'm sorry, earlier than that. But anyways, I'm talking about Black History Month itself, where that started. So it all got started from one man, a Harvard-trained Black man by the name of Dr. Carter G. Woodson. He was a historian. And in 1915, he founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And he did this to research and document African American history, Black history. So he did this because he felt very strongly that a more pervasive, a more thorough understanding of Black history would accomplish two goals. And the first goal was he felt that a more in-depth understanding of Black history would promote pride within our Black communities. And I happen to agree with that 100%. I think if more Black kids knew who they are and where they originated from and all of the rich, lush history that we have contributed to this country, to the world, fuck the world, that would give them a bigger source of self-pride and a bigger source of confidence when they are out in the world surrounded by non-Black people. You know, like my grandparents, they were real serious about that. I don't know if y'all remember the Encyclopedia Britannica. I'm telling my age or whatever, but like my grandma, she was a big proponent of reading and learning who we are. She had like this whole library in her room with Encyclopedia Britannicas and different books about Black history, and we would have to read to her, you know, about different people. But doing that, it increased my love and admiration for my people. And I do the same thing with my kids. I teach them about who we are and where we from and where we going and where we should go. So back to Dr. Woodson. The second goal that he felt a deeper understanding and appreciation for Black history would achieve is that it would create and foster a greater respect and greater admiration for Black people across the world, all across the globe, to the broader society and not just the Black community. Now, I understand that, and I feel that is a noble goal. I don't think it happened. We didn't achieve that, and a lot of it wasn't by our own design or our own doing. And you can see that through the various TV shows and all of that, where we're depicted in so many fucked up ways. But you know, I can be man enough to say that, you know, some of it we have done on our own, and that's where we are now. We need to fix what we are doing. We can't control what they doing. We just need to worry about us and fix us and move forward and take over the world like we should. So anyways, in February of 1926, Dr. Woodson, he introduced an annual celebration for Black folks called Negro History Week. And I know a lot of people are like, well, first of all, a lot of people crack the jokes about Black History Month being in February and it's the shortest month. But the date of Black History Week, which translated later into Black History Month, was by design. He purposely chose the second week of February for his annual event to commemorate the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. So that is why Black History Month is in February. So now that we got, you know, the history of the creation out of the way, everything is not without criticism. You know, it gets praise and it gets criticism. There's people on both sides of the coin when it comes to Black history. A lot of people feel that Black history isn't useful anymore. It's outlived its usefulness. And I totally disagree with that, because Black folks are creating, you know, we're having babies left and right, and you know, the children of today will be the men and women of tomorrow. So you have to continue to teach history. You have to continue to show them as they get older, as they grow, again, who we are and what we are. And with that being said, a lot of people also question why do we need a month to celebrate our history? Why do we get a month to celebrate our history? And I simply replied by saying, you motherfuckers got history 365 days a year. Like, I don't understand why it's problematic. But to be honest, we have to have this month earmarked for us because it's not taught every day, even though Black history is American history. It's still isn't taught as such. So that's why we are where we are today. Now, I will say that it's necessary. It's been necessary, and until it's changed, it will always be necessary. Or until we just got a whole series of our own schools that we have built and paid for and fund, there will always be a need for this Black History Month. Like I said, they're not teaching it in the schools that we send our kids to. And don't get me wrong, we should teach our kids at home as well. But I also think that it should be a part of the curriculum in schools. I mean, how can you honestly say you have American history and totally ignore or only slightly acknowledge Black history and the roles that Black folks played in the building of America? Literally, the building of America. So until African American history, Black history, is included in the regular history curriculum of elementary, secondary, and post-secondary schools, then this month is necessary. This month is necessary to talk about the contributions that Black folks have made to further modern society with advances in medicine, technology, science, engineering, transportation, aerospace communication, and our names and our voices and our faces and our accomplishments are underrepresented completely in America, in these books and in these curriculums. So until that changes, Black history and the celebration of Black history, especially now during the times of all this racial strife and of profiling and you know, housing discrimination and the failing school systems and professional inequality and housing inequality, you know, none of that is taught. It's swept under the rug in mainstream America, but we live it every day, so we have to teach about it. So for this month, we will be talking about different folks, different achievements, little known Black history facts, little known tidbits of excellence that our folks, us melanated people, have contributed to America. And again, it'll be here on the Shade and Shit Talking podcast. It'll be on Black with No Chaser Radio, Black with No Chaser Facebook page, the website. It'll be on all of that, because it is very, very important that we teach our people, that we learn from our people, learn from our past, in order to ensure a brighter and better future. So, the 2020 presidential campaigns have already kicked off. They're all underway, and we have had 11 people throw their hats into the ring for the Democratic nomination thus far. Now, before I get into them, we all know that as of right now, the only Republican that they'll be facing is Orange Julius. Fingers crossed, but unless he is impeached or arrested or Mueller finds whatever he needs to find and forces him to resign to keep from going to jail, he will be the Republican nomination. But the Democratic nomination ain't that clear cut. Right now, I think I last counted maybe 15 to 20 names of people who are running, who have big dreams and big wishes of occupying the White House and replacing Trump. And a lot of these people are seriously going to run for their party's nomination next year. There's been a lot of exploratory committees for some, and some have already thrown their names in the hat. So what I have decided to do is just to talk a little bit about those who have entered the fray, and give a little bit of background on each one of them. But before I do that, I'm just saying this I want to say this. I'm not telling you who you should vote for. I would never tell a person who they should choose or why they should choose this person. That's your own personal belief. But what I will say is I highly encourage each and every one of you to do as much homework as you possibly can. Now, I know that it's still early in the game and whatnot, but now is the perfect time for you to learn about these people. We have to vet the shit out of every single one that's running, because we have to make sure we get the right person. We can't fuck this up. We can't do another 4 years of this imbecile in office. And looking, and I talk about this later in Colonizer Nonsense, but look at the governor of Virginia. You have the picture that came out of him in either blackface or the Klan robe or whatever. But that's just, highlights what I'm saying. You have to vet everybody the best you can, because you don't want it to come back and bite you in your ass. So, for that being said, I'll just get right into it. So right now you have some big name people running, and as well as a lot of unheard of people or slightly heard of people. You got Senators Elizabeth Warren, you got Senator Campbell Harris, Cory Booker, Kirsten Gillibrand. They've already thrown their names in. And this field of possibles, could have beens, also rans, has beens, and what-ifers, it will make up a record number of not only women but non-white candidates in this field. Unlike what we had in 16, where we had 4 white men and 1 white woman, but they called that diverse. This go round would be very diverse. Now, whoever emerges out of this group will have a very, very, very uphill battle going against IQ 45. Now, don't get me wrong, he is the most unpopular president in the history of the United States. I mean, he's historically unpopular. But, he has the complexion. So, we all know that's what got him in office last time. Because it damn sure wasn't because of his track record or his knowledge or, anything of that nature. He said the right bullshit for the right people. And now we're suffering, including them. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Now, like I said, it's still too early to have fully formed opinions on all of the candidates, because you still got big names who hadn't said anything about running. You still got O'Rourke. Joe Biden is still mulling it over. Bernie Sanders is mulling it over. A lot of people have the exploratory committees formed to check out the scene, if you will. So let me just go through and tell you about the bigger names, and where they stand thus far in their careers. I'll start with Senator Warren out of Massachusetts. Right now, she is the biggest name in the field so far. She's a proud progressive, but she's not anti-capitalism. She wants to fix it rather than replace it. She also wants to give workers seats on corporate boards, and she wants to tax extreme wealth. I think this was last week or week before, whatever. It came out that she wanted to heavily tax any earnings over 50 million, I believe, somewhere up in there. And we also know her from the whole DNA debacle where she was trying to rebuke Donald Trump, calling her Pocahontas and saying that she doesn't have Native American roots. So that's that. Now you have Kamala Harris and Cory Booker. Now, before I get into saying a little bit about them, let me just say I have no problem with either one of them as far as them throwing their hats in the ring. But I do feel like these two will be pandering the shit out of us. Seriously. Like, I don't know who told them it was a good idea or even a good look to announce when they announce. You had Harris make her announcement on MLK Day. Then you had Booker make his announcement on the first day of Black History. Like, we know you black, man. You ain't got to do that. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe I feel some type of way for nothing. But anyways, so I'll start with Cory Booker. He's a former mayor of Newark, and he has a big idea of doing like savings accounts for newborns. I think the number's like $50,000 to help get them started in life, which is, pretty cool. I think he will be the leading vote getter amongst black folks, but he also has his faults in some people's eyes. There's his whole promoting of charter schools and him supporting Betsy DeVos in her ignorant ass. And then there's also this huge perception that he's a Wall Street guy. He's taking a lot of money from a lot of Wall Street people. As a matter of fact, one guy in particular, I can't remember his name right now, started a super PAC for him by donating $10 million to it. So we'll see how that goes. Next up is Kamala Harris. She is the former Attorney General in California, and her name was on the radar 2 years ago. She has endorsed Medicare for all. She has also proposed a major middle class tax credit. But her problem will be her days as a prosecutor. I've seen a lot of black folks talk about this. And it just don't jibe well with a lot of people. She's had a very controversial record on criminal justice. Very controversial. She's also is known for wanting to jail parents because of their kids' truancy without even delving into the whys, the abject poverty, the not having health care and constantly sick, so on and so forth. So that will hurt her. And in some people's eyes, her affair with, I believe his name was Willie Brown, even though me personally, after seeing the shit that this orange idiot in office has done, I don't see how that could even be a problem. But I've seen a lot of Republicans jump on that. So that would definitely be a talking point. Next up, you got Senator Kirsten Gillibrand out of New York. Now, from what I read, she started off as a centrist Democrat in the House, and now she's more so of a progressive who also endorses Medicare for all, and she endorses universal paid leave. One of her biggest calling cards, her biggest pillars that she can lean on is that she has made her career in the Senate on cracking down on sexual assault in the military, and she's a staunch supporter of the Me Too era. And she was one of the Democratic women who helped power the Democratic Party to historic wins in the midterm elections of 2018. Now, the rest of these names, I don't know a whole lot about, and I will once I, really delve into it. But you got former San Antonio Mayor and HUD Secretary Julian Castro. You got former Representative John Delaney, Hawaii Representative Tulsi Gabbard, South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg. You got Andrew Yang. I mean, there's so many. And again, you still got Joe Biden. You still got Bernie Sanders. You got Beto O'Rourke. Like, there's so many others. You got the CEO of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, throwing his name into the hat possibly. There would be so many options and so much information to read and cover, which is why I say start now. It's never too early. Now, you also I will also give you like some of the upcoming dates to keep in mind while you're doing your research. The 2020 Democratic primary debates will start in June of 2019, extending into 2020. There will be 12 debates. The first 4 debates will be held in the earliest primary and caucus states: Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. The next thing we should know is when is the 2020 Democratic primary election and caucus nights. Now, votes won't be cast for another year. There will be a bunch of formal announcements, speeches, policy rollouts, gossip, so on and so forth, maybe some debates. But the first 2 months of the primary schedule, you got the February 3rd Iowa caucus, February 11th New Hampshire primary, February 22nd Nevada caucus, February 29th South Carolina primary. March 3rd you have Super Tuesday, Alabama, California, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Vermont primaries. March 7th, the Louisiana primary. March 10th, the Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Ohio primaries. And March 17th, the Arizona, Florida, and Illinois primaries. And after that, there is at least 3 more months of primaries and caucuses. But these are the earliest states where these candidates will focus most of their attention and most of their organizing. So we will know by the end of March who the strongest of the candidates are. So again, I urge you, research. Do your homework on every last one of them. Because again, we cannot afford to fuck this up. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gather around for this week's episode of Colonizer Nonsense. My first Colonizer Nonsense moment, the Blackface edition, starts me off in Sacramento, California, where a teacher's good intentions went bad real quick. Headline: School apologizes after teacher wore blackface during African history lesson. A school superintendent's poor judgment allowed a teacher to wear blackface during an African history lesson, and it offended families in the community. No shit. John Huffman, the superintendent of Victory's Christian School System in Sacramento, California, said in an email that last Thursday, our school elementary chapel speaker dressed up as a Central African native woman in order to tell the story of missionary David Livingstone and his work in Africa in the late 1800s. In an effort to bring authenticity to her role, she wore a typical native dress and headdress. Now, if she'd have stopped right there, she'd have been just fine. I mean, the dress, the head garb, and her words would have been sufficient enough. But, as always, they gotta take it a goddamn step too far. Let me continue. He said she also wore makeup to darken her skin tone on her arms, shoulders, and face. Come on, people. When will y'all learn? Blackface ain't for play. Leave that shit alone. Leave it alone. He also went on to say, I was wrong to allow the use of makeup, no matter how innocent the intentions, as it has been offensive to some of my students and parents. I should have anticipated that this could be offensive, and I apologize to my students and parents, asking to be forgiven for hurting them. Look, I don't know how this will end for you other teacher. I mean, I get it. You was trying to do something nice. It wasn't meant to be offensive. But in 2019, you should know better. Hell, all the shit you saw last year with these type of incidents, you would have thought, hey, maybe I shouldn't do this shit. Maybe, just maybe, blackface ain't the way to go. But you motherfuckers never learn. So whatever happens, you get zero sympathy for me. My final entry in the blackface bullshit takes me to the state of Virginia, where the governor was on that bullshit. Headline: Virginia Governor Ralph Northam's yearbook page shows blackface and a KKK outfit. God damn. So this yearbook page for this guy from his time at Eastern Virginia Medical School features a photo of a man wearing blackface and the other wearing a Ku Klux Klan outfit standing side by side. Now this photo was first published by Big League Politics, and it's a school photo from a 1984 yearbook. Now, this photo has already been confirmed as being authentic, and it came from a student-produced publication. Now, on this photo, the page features the governor's full name with other photos of him. And there also was a quote from a Willie Nelson song that was apparently submitted by this governor that says, there are more old drunks than old doctors in this world, so I'll have another beer. Now, in a statement, Northam did not specify whether he was the man in blackface or the man in the KKK outfit, but he did say he was quote unquote deeply sorry for the decision I made to appear as I did in this photo and for the hurt that decision caused then and now. Now, what's crazy about this, he is the Democratic governor, and this just goes to prove what I've been saying for so long. Left wing, right wing, they all are part of the same fucked up corrupt bird, and this is no different. Now, CBS News also found that in his 1981 yearbook at the Virginia Military Institute, this motherfucker's nickname was Coon Man. And we all know that coon is a derogatory term used to describe black people by them, so I'm probably guessing he was the motherfucker in the blackface. But I digress. Now, the Republicans wasted no time jumping on this. Republican Party of Virginia Chairman Jack Woodson said in a statement, racism has no place in Virginia, Charlottesville, and these pictures are wholly inappropriate. If Governor Northam appeared in blackface or dressed in a KKK robe, he should resign immediately. Where was this motherfucker for Charlottesville? But anyways, listen, he probably will resign, and it won't bother me at all considering they have a black lieutenant governor waiting in the wings. So, hey, you did it, you fucked up, hasta la vista. Leave that blackface alone. It's gonna always bite you in your ass. This week in sports starts us off in the NFL, where Super Bowl 53 is taking place in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, this contest is highly anticipated, not just because it's a rematch from 17 years ago, but also because of the amount of star power involved in this game. So, in this contest, you find the LA Rams, led by Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, and Aaron Donald, taking on the New England Patriots, led by Tom Brady, the refs, the line judge, the back judge, the league front office, and the rules competition committee in a contest that I think will be very well coached, very well played, very well officiated. Shout out to New Orleans, as well as entertaining to watch. Now, there's also star power in the announcing booth, where Tony Romo, which has gained the name Romo-Damas for his innate ability to precisely call the offensive plays before they're ran. Now, I think that's cool and all, but I couldn't help but wonder how he was so accurate in calling those plays, but couldn't see himself throwing all them goddamn picks in big games. How about this, Cowboys? As of right now, the New England Patriots are the favorites to win the Super Bowl, giving up 2.5 points to the Los Angeles Rams. Now, last week I made myself explicitly clear on my feelings about New England, and this week it ain't changed at all. So I predict that the Rams will win big because, you know, fuck New England. In other NFL news,
like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
it's time for this week's episode of my favorite soap opera, Days of Our Lives, Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Juju Smith-Schuster had an interview on First Take, and he said that the Steelers needed to stop being the Kardashians. Now, when he first said that, I was blown away because I didn't understand the correlation. Because we all know the Kardashians are known for two things. One, a sex tape, and two, fucking black dudes. And I didn't know where he was going with this until he further clarified himself by saying, and I quote, "I think everyone just needs to stop being divas. I think we need to stop being the Kardashians and play ball." Whew. Thank goodness, nigga. I thought you were saying a whole nother thing. Now, he went on to further say, "I have learned a lot in that locker room, and I know that I would not ever want to be the problem for that franchise." Now, he didn't say Antonio Brown's name. He could have inferred it with that statement, and we all know that Antonio Brown don't take slights pretty likely. Speaking of which, have you seen him lately? He showed up in Atlanta looking like the love child between Coolio and Hollywood Hogan. Now, I don't know what's going on with him, but this new shit is beyond me. And finally, Julius Peppers announced his retirement Friday after 17 years in the NFL as a member of the Carolina Panthers, the Chicago Bears, and the Green Bay Packers. Now, he was a 9-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time first-team All-Pro, and he also ranks 4th in NFL history with 159.5 career sacks, including a franchise record 97 in Carolina. He also had 11 interceptions. Now, he is the only player in league history to record both 150 sacks and 10 interceptions. Now, with all that being said, I wish him the best of luck in retirement, and I'm pretty sure he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer once he's eligible. Over in the NBA, the King is back. After missing not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 weeks with a groin injury, LeBron hit the court last night against the Los Angeles Clippers and won 123-120 in overtime. In this game, he put up 24 points, 14 rebounds, and 9 assists and played 40 minutes after not playing at all for 37 days. But listen, that's not the biggest news coming out of LA, because while he was out, LeBron the player, he turned into LeBron the GM and was working his magic behind the scenes to get AD from the New Orleans Pelicans. And let me tell you, they mad as hell in New Orleans. Like I said last week, he said he wasn't re-signing, so Bron and his agent Rich Paul doing their thing. Now LeBron, I meant Magic, offered Lonzo Ball, Rajon Rondo, Kyle Kuzma, Michael Beasley, and a first-round pick for AD. And to sweeten the deal, Magic also threw in the cure for AIDS. Now, I don't know if New Orleans would accept it, but we'll see how that pans out. In other NBA news, my New York Knicks shocked the world by trading the unicorn Kristaps Porzingis and a couple of other niggas to the Dallas Mavericks for a couple of first-round picks, Dennis Smith Jr., and some expiring contracts. Now, they are doing this to clear up cap space, which they did, gain the $71 million for next year, because the rumor is they are going after 2 big-time players, and I think it will be Flat Earth theorist Kyrie Irving and original Nappy Roots member Kevin Durant. Now, I have talked a lot of shit about Durant, yes, I know, but if he become a New York Knick, all his bullshit is forgiven, and if you talk about his ass, we gonna have to fight.
It's on God now, and I don't know who NM is, man. Flat out.
Now, this episode was brought to you by Always Ready Bail Bonding, LLC, 24-hour service by my girl, Ebony White. Now, Super Bowl this weekend, gonna be a lot of drinking, a lot of smoking, and a lot of police out. You niggas better be safe. Get your designated driver, call a Uber. But if you don't get caught, she can get your ass out. That's 601-408-0953 or 601-596-8835. And if you free, I'll see you guys next week. So we've reached the end of another episode, and as always, I thank you guys for tuning in. I look forward to doing this week in and week out, talking with you guys, interacting with those who hit me up via email, via the Anchor app, calls or whatever. So it's an honor and a pleasure to be a part of something like this, to be able to reach out to the masses, to our people, to just talk, to educate, to learn from you guys, and all of that. And I really appreciate the love and support. Now, this is Black History Month. This is a time for rejoicing, a time for celebration, a time for recommitting ourselves, a time for learning ourselves and teaching one another about ourselves. So I challenge each and every one of you to learn something new every day, as well as give that knowledge to someone who may need it. Young or old, we all can learn something new every day. And like I said earlier in the podcast, knowing about ourselves will create a sense of pride, a bigger sense of accomplishment, a bigger sense of self-worth and confidence in who we are as a people, which is a mighty people, a smart, intelligent, loyal, hard-working, strong people. So again, it's Black History Month, and we should really learn about ourselves. Now, I want to take this moment to shout out Brad Franklin and his wife at the Cooney compound. Most of you know him as Kamikaze from his rap days, one of the greatest albums ever, Great Skies, from back in the Gap. But we have joined forces with the Cooney compound, and we are putting something together that is real, that's tangible, that would be a huge asset to the community, not just Jackson, not just Mississippi, but worldwide. So I encourage each one of you to check that out, to follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, all the platforms. Check out our website, www.blackwithnochaser.com. You can also find Cooney Compound as well on these different platforms. But we have joined forces. We have a home base, if you will, in Jackson, in the middle of Fondren, where we will be putting in a lot of work, both podcasts, internet shows, everything, basically creating a new renaissance, if you will, right in the heart of Mississippi that reaches everywhere across the world. Like right now, Black with No Chaser, we touching Kenya, we touching Nigeria, Ireland, all over the globe with some of the things that we're doing. So this is a project that we're all looking forward to growing and sharing with the world, and I hope you guys support it. So make sure you check us out, Black with No Chaser, the Kundi Compound, Kundi Compound, and we hope that you support us, because we are here for you. We are here to make this a better place, not just for ourselves, but for our kids and future generations. So make sure you check that out. And as always, I thank you guys. I love you guys, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.
Oh, thank you.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.